Welcome to PeopleSoft Now. I'm Rebekah Jackson. I'm excited to share this special PeopleSoft investment strategy update. We sit down every year with Paco Aubrejuan, Senior Vice President for PeopleSoft. But this year, we happen to be celebrating some important milestones, significant metrics, and exciting achievements. Let's get started. Paco, this is a big year. Thanks for joining me.
Great to be here yet again.
So we're celebrating an important milestone this year. We are in Oracle's 20th year of supporting PeopleSoft. What does that say to you?
It says a few things. It's first of all, and I didn't realize this until someone on the team had mentioned it, and I went and looked. PeopleSoft has now been part of Oracle longer than it was ever an independent company. So I think that's, when I tell people that, it comes as a surprise. But what it tells me is a couple things. I think number one is, as Oracle, we've kept our promise. And, for a technology company to make a commitment to continue to invest in a technology, 19 years ago or 18 years ago when we made that Apps Unlimited commitment, and then to continue to be doing, not just investing, but continue to be investing indefinitely, is rare. And it shows that, Oracle, we kept our promise, and that's good. I think the other part of it, though, and the reason that we're able to have been able to stand up to our side of the bargain is because our customers have continued to invest in the product. Our partners have continued to invest in the ecosystem, and really our continued investment in PeopleSoft is only going to happen, and was only going to happen, if our partners and our customers continue to invest in PeopleSoft also, so that the entire ecosystem continues to move forward. So it's 20 years ago, I think I would have been very surprised if you said 20 years from now, not only would PeopleSoft still be here, we'd still be innovating, we'd still be delivering new technology features, new functional features, and that we'd have many years ahead of us to continue to do so. I would have been very, very surprised.
You and me both. One important foundation for that is the rolling tenure support model, Oracle support for PeopleSoft. We have been announcing each spring now the extension of support for PeopleSoft so that we maintain this rolling 10 years. And it's a model that's really unique in the industry. Why is it so important?
Well, I mean, I think it's important because it reflects our reality, right? And our reality is that we know we're not going to support PeopleSoft or any other technology forever. Nothing lasts forever, but we have no plans to stop. And so the model that we'd had previously, and the model that most software companies have, is when new releases come out, you give them some amount of support. In our case, it was 10 years if you include extended support, or 8 years if you include extended support. And then the next version comes out, and you keep rolling like that. Well, when we moved to our continuous delivery code line with 9.2 and selective adoption, that model didn't make sense anymore. And so really, and we kept getting customers who were approaching us who were concerned about that they weren't going to have enough time to react if we changed direction and stopped investing in PeopleSoft or something like that. And so the intent was that we didn't want customers making decisions out of unfounded fears, really, right? Which is that we were going to do something that we weren't planning to do. And so the 10 years kind of represented what we felt was a good kind of a good place where customers felt like they'd have enough time once we made a decision, if and when we make a decision to stop investing in PeopleSoft, customers will have 10 years to do something about it. Everyone felt like that was enough time. And it reflected, it kind of took that concern off the table, so that customers were now making decisions based on the value and where they were as in their kind of corporate journey from a technology standpoint. And it allowed them to make those decisions really without us having, a gun to their back effectively. That's not what we want to do. We want it to be a value-based decision. So it's worked out great. And, I think there's still customers that don't quite understand that we're doing that some probably don't quite believe that it's real. But like with everything else in this 20 years, now we have the luxury of being able to look back. I think we implemented this 5 years ago or something like that. And we've done this over 5 years. We've added a year every year. And so we can, we can tell customers, believe what we've done, if nothing else. And that's what we've been doing. So I think it's worked out well.
I sure enjoy making that announcement every spring and maintaining that rolling 10 years of red carpet, if you will. But one of the questions that I do get sometimes is, so does that mean we expect that customers are going to stay on PeopleSoft forever? What about the Oracle Cloud applications?
Yeah, and that's something that we don't expect that. In fact, we hope that they don't plan to do that. And we do think that the transition to cloud delivered applications, software as a service, where we take on the responsibility for patching the software and updating the software and all, worrying about the servers and worrying about storage and networking and security, all those things. We think that model of how enterprise technology is both delivered and or consumed it's the prevalent model today. It's where the future is. Everything always migrates to a kind of a lower cost model for customers, and that's ultimately a lower cost model for customers, more effective model for customers. So we're not extending PeopleSoft because our goal is to keep customers on PeopleSoft. We're really continuing to extend PeopleSoft to give the customers the time, so because we realize every customer is on a journey that's at a different pace, and we have so our what I explicitly tell customers now is we expect that everyone, all companies, will eventually be on a cloud-based solution that's delivered as a service. And our goal is that we earn the right to be that provider for our current customers. And if we do the right things for them now on PeopleSoft, our goal is to earn the right to be the provider for their software as a service solution in the future. And that's really why we're doing it. That's the primary reason we're doing it, is to earn our customers' business in the future on the cloud.
That makes sense. So back to some of these important milestones that we're celebrating on the PeopleSoft side. This year, we achieved a golden anniversary. We shipped the FSCM Image 50 earlier this year, and in a few months, we're going to be shipping HCM Image 50. In my mind, that's a pretty powerful statement about the success of this transition we made to continuous delivery and selective adoption and the PeopleSoft Update Manager. When we embarked on that more than 10 years ago, did you expect it to be so successful?
Well, I hoped there would be, but I don't think any of us knew whether we could actually sustain this over time, because it had never been done before in the industry, the way we were doing this, right? Where we don't require you to stay, to take all of the versions of the kind of software we deliver. You can take at any point in time, you can take everything and you can take it selectively, where we allow you to pick the features or the bug fixes or the legislative updates you want, and then we'll calculate what else you need based on what you've already taken and what the dependencies are, the technical or functional dependencies between these. That's a very tricky thing to do. It's only possible for us, for PeopleSoft, because of so much of our applications based on metadata, so we can actually calculate dependencies between features and things that we deliver. So we hoped it would work, and then we hoped it would sustain. We could sustain it over time so that it didn't eventually break down. But we didn't. We weren't sure, and so we didn't know if we were going to have to do another release. It was important for us to do this because when we stated that we were going to invest in PeopleSoft indefinitely, we were faced with the reality that the existing model for on-premise software, and for PeopleSoft specifically, of having to go through these major application upgrades every 4, 5, or 6 years wasn't sustainable. It was too expensive. There was too much risk, and there wasn't enough value. And so we had to reconcile this this statement that we're going to continue to support the product line for a long time, with the fact that the method that we were doing that wasn't practical or sustainable for our customers, and they would have to move off of it just because of that, the fact that they had to do these upgrades. And so that's why we made this really big, really expensive and really risky change. But we're very happy to say that now with 50 images in, that's 50 releases. I mean, that's that it's working great, and that we have no need to change that. It scales. We've gone through major technology changes as part of that. We've gone through major functional architecture changes. We've done kind of all the things that you can do to be disruptive to a code line, and it's worked. And the feedback from our customers, I think that one of the interesting things is the feedback is to see what our customers have done. And while some customers are still in the model where they get to a version and then don't touch it for a long time, the majority of our customers are actually have moved into what we call selective adoption, a model where they're periodically taking features selectively. They're getting current on the code line every couple of years. They're doing maintenance on a schedule. They've got something, because our infrastructure and our methodology now supports kind of a flexibility of a range of options for them. We have a lot more customers who are staying more current than they ever did before, which is great.
Yeah, it's great to see.
Yeah.
In addition to the success we've seen with continuous delivery, another important innovation celebrated a big birthday, and that's the fluid user interface. A few months ago, it turned 10 years old. In late 2013, we shipped our first fluid pages. Why was it so important for us to modernize the fluid user interface?
Yeah, I mean, so there was a couple, that was born out of a couple kind of requirements that were happening in the industry, and we're, it's kind of like the cost equation with the PUM and continuous delivery. Similarly, the expectations that the users of our applications have are being continuously influenced by what they use on their phones every day and the consumer internet and all that, right? So we couldn't sustain the investment in PeopleSoft and say that we're going to continue to support it indefinitely and not modernize and simplify things. And though I think it surprised a lot of our customers that we were willing to do such a big kind of undertaking as move away from a pixel perfect kind of HTML design that we had in Classic to a responsive design that we have with Fluid. And so that was an important technology introduction. We continue to both introduce new, convert some existing pages that we have in Classic to Fluid. We continue to make pretty significant changes in Fluid, and we continue to, it's not our kind of usability for us isn't really just about a technology. It's about when we go and we rebuild a flow and we're using Fluid, we also take that opportunity to reimagine how it should work independent of the technology it's built on. So how do we simplify things? How do we make it more configurable? How do we make it simpler and more intuitive? And then there's a number of other technologies that are complementary, things like search, right? I mean, before we did Fluid, there was a very static kind of menu that we had in our pages that was pretty awful. And we moved to the tile-based home pages, which was more intuitive, a little nicer. But still, if you have a lot of tiles, how do you find it too? Where we are now is where we've optimized a navigation search on every page so that you can go up there and that actually works. And it's funny because even our developers now don't ever use the menu; they use the search, and that's really the true test, I think, of whether that's is working. So there's a number of these examples of whether it's activity guides or a lot of these constructs that are important for us to continue to both simplify the solution itself as well as present something that feels modern to the user so they don't feel like they're using a quote unquote legacy system.
Yeah. And you mentioned some of the design elements and frameworks. We're also obviously plugging in some cloud capabilities, whether it's conversational interfaces or guided learning. Where are we headed next?
I think we continue down that path, right? I mean, we have to be careful because we want to balance. We want PeopleSoft to be a stable platform. We don't want them to go through, our customers to go through highly disruptive changes, because if they're going to go through something that's disruptive, they should be doing that as they move to our SaaS applications. Hopefully not disruptive then either, but more disruptive, right? So we need to balance that with how do we modernize and add value for the customer so that they can see continuous improvement. And so really that's what we're doing. We try to do as much of that as possible through our PeopleTools releases, where we can provide new capabilities in PeopleTools that can effectively be deployed in the application, sometimes with no effort at all, simply by because our PeopleTools and our applications work together and are based on metadata, where the behavior can change. We can get new capabilities, but it doesn't force us to go back and rewrite a bunch of applications, which is very hard and very expensive for us to do. So we're going to continue to do that. We're going to continue to look at, as you mentioned, some of the cloud-based technologies provided through OCI that help do things you mentioned, Oracle guided learning. Those are really compelling complementary solutions that customers can now deploy on PeopleSoft that are also on our cloud applications. And so the ODA in our chat is with Picasso is similar. The more of those things that we can have working on PeopleSoft, it increases the level of familiarity so that when our customers move to our cloud applications, some of those tools and some of that infrastructure they've already been using. So it just reduces the learning curve.
Yeah, for sure. Another area that we've invested a lot in recently is PeopleSoft Insights. And this one is particularly interesting to me because the impact on the solution is so multidimensional. It's obviously an analytic capability, so it's driving executive and operational kind of insight on the transactional data, but it is also dramatically improving the user experience, and it's unlocking functional capabilities that we haven't been able to achieve before. I think at last count that I saw, we had more than 560 insight visualizations that we've delivered. Have we already built them all, or are there more to come?
Yeah, it's interesting. Analytics has always been one of those age-old challenges that we've had in ERP software to right there. And there's been largely two approaches. One is build it using SQL in the transactional database. And there's a lot of challenges with that in terms of impact on OLTP performance and how good the UI is, and whether really that's an effect. It gives you the up to the minute data, but it comes at a cost, and a lot of customers have always been hesitant to roll things like that out. We did pivot grids and other types of technologies like that, but it's certainly far from ideal. The other alternative, obviously, that a lot of customers have done and continue to do is bring the data out of PeopleSoft and put it into a data warehouse and use that. And that's obviously solves a lot of those other problems, but it comes with issues around data latency and control and access and level of granularity of data. And so it meets the needs for some business requirements, but not others. We find that with the open, what we call PeopleSoft Insights, using the OpenSearch dashboard technology, it's like a perfect combination of the two, because we're pulling the data out of PeopleSoft in the form of indexes. We're able to keep that up to date real time with our real time indexing now. So there's no latency. So that data is not stale. But it doesn't have to get all the way moved into a data warehouse where you have another team and another organization is controlling it. So it's much lighter weight. Yet it's super, super fast because it's based on flattened data that we use for searching. And there's a great, rich graphical set of tools that we can use. And so I feel like the value to cost ratio of what we can do with Insights is significant, because it provides the solution that our customers really want at a fraction of the cost, both either implementation costs or ongoing kind of cost of performance and things like that on the solution. So we've, as we've kind of gone pretty big on Insights over the last few years, both the technology as well as building out as much of the content as possible. And we're continuing to build out content. There's really two dimensions that we're investing in now. One is continuing to build out content so that anything that they want, anything a customer may want, any data they may want to report on, any of the metrics that they may want to see, operational metrics they may want to see, we've built out the indexes for so that it's very easy for them to create the metric if we haven't already done it. But the other big area, and is a lot going on with PeopleTools 861 and 862, is how do we bring those back in more effectively than we have, right? And so what used to be, you could put it on a tile or put it in related content, and then when you click it, it takes you to an insight dashboard. We're now bringing these things in so you can do insight search using our search bar. We have like an Insight Explorer. We can pull all the insights together into one menu. We're bringing the insights into the work center, so you now have interactivity and insights in work center. So look for us to continue to find ways not to just broaden the content suite that we have, but to find new opportunities to embed them in PeopleSoft applications to make it more seamless. And I think there's a lot of opportunities still. And really our customers are, I mean, we have a lot of customers who've implemented it, but we're just getting to the point where customers are really seeing what the power of this is and what they can do with it. So it's pretty exciting.
Yeah, it's an exciting area.
Yeah.
You mentioned PeopleTools. So let's talk about that a little bit. Obviously PeopleTools 861 is available. We're actively in the development cycle of PeopleTools 862. And you and I both know that we've started the scoping process for PeopleTools 863. How do our PeopleTools releases support the application development effort? And from your perspective, what are the most important themes in the investments we've been making at the PeopleTools layer?
Yeah, so I mean, PeopleTools gives us, because PeopleTools is backward compatible to older versions of the applications, it gives us a huge amount of leverage, if you will, in terms of, a dollar invested can be really leveraged to get maybe $5 worth of delivery in terms of in the application. So it really, even though, I get asked why are you investing so much in a quote unquote old tool set? For us, it's really part of the application solution, and it's a part that gives us a lot of bang for our buck. The number one kind of area is security and interoperability with different technologies, right? Our customers need to make sure that the applications are secure and that they work with all the various versions of the databases and the operating systems and all that. So that's priority number one. That's something that is at the top of the list every single release. Priority number two is looking at ways to improve the productivity of in the applications by doing something in PeopleTools that gives them that ability. So here's an example of something that we're working on for 862 is, we launched configurable search in 861. So now, you can, for any component, you can configure what the search records are. You can configure what the results are. It's all configurable. Used to be something you had to customize. Well, we said, okay, now if you've done that and users can now save a search, why not give them the ability to monitor that save search somehow outside of that component? And so we're planning to deliver something called watch list, at least is what it's called now, where you can set up and tag a search that you create and save, and then find a way of monitoring the results of that without going back to the component to re-execute the search. Those are some of the types of productivity that we can deliver with PeopleTools that don't require us to go back and now make changes to all the applications. Another big one is user experience, and so one of the areas we're working on right now in 862 for user experience is around the home pages. In 861 we introduced the ability to have sectionalized home pages, but that's really a first step in the direction of giving our customers much more control over what those home pages look like in terms of how they're configured. And so stay tuned for some really exciting stuff about what you can do with home pages starting with 862 in terms of the flexibility to lay them out so that they're not just a wall of tiles. And then the last area is around cost, right? And so there's a lot of things that we can do in PeopleTools around lifecycle management. And some of this is, kind of split between PeopleTools and PeopleSoft Cloud Manager on OCI, around how do we make the lifecycle management of PeopleSoft, the applications and PeopleTools, way cheaper, way faster, way easier for our customers to help reduce the costs. So those are some of the ways. There's a lot of opportunity in PeopleTools. The sky's kind of the limit.
Yeah. One of the topics while we're talking about technology that's getting a lot of discussion and attention now, and one that we probably get an infinite amount of questions on, is AI, machine learning, and generative AI. Yep. What's PeopleSoft's strategy there?
So we have, there are specific use cases around AI that we've already that we've taken advantage of. The one kind of probably one of the main ones is in our Cloud Manager application. We've built a number of models to monitor basically the application metrics, so the instance metrics, so that we can determine whether there's going to be a need to scale the middle tier because there's going to be an out of capacity situation, and we can auto scale within 18 minutes. So those are very specific models that we've set up that are all out of the box. So when you provision Cloud Manager, it'll automatically bring those models in, connect to the OCI data science solution, do all the training and all that. For the most part, though, with kind of with traditional AI, it's all about the data, and we don't have the data. Our customers have the data, and you can't really build effective models without the data. And so what we've focused on, up until this point, is the plumbing and the integration in the infrastructure, so that our customers can, using the AI services that are out there, preferably on Oracle OCI, but anywhere, can bring that into PeopleSoft and kind of build their own. And we've got a lot of customers and partners that are doing that. The last area is kind of what everyone's talking about now, is generative AI. We have a similar approach right now with generative AI. From an Oracle standpoint, our focus for Gen AI in terms of delivering in the applications is to focus on our cloud solutions in terms of delivering pre-built use cases. And what we're doing in PeopleSoft is just similar with the other AI models. If it's an open solution, we have partners that are building out generative AI-based use cases in PeopleSoft. We have our OCI team has made all of the APIs available for Cohere and other generative AI solutions, and we're encouraging our customers and our partners to go and do that directly. The one kind of exception to that is around our digital assistant. We call it Picasso. For several years now, we integrated the ability to have Oracle Digital Assistant integrated in with PeopleSoft, so you can have a multifunctional assistant that can help answer questions. We've exposed REST services in PeopleSoft, so we can actually make updates and pull data out of PeopleSoft at runtime. That team, that Oracle Digital Assistant team, is investing in the AI space quite a bit, continues to, including generative AI. So the investments that they're making around digital assistant, any of our customers who are using the digital assistant with PeopleSoft will be able to take advantage of those advances. And so I encourage you to look at the roadmap and the solution for the Oracle Digital Assistant, and give you some good ideas of what you can use with PeopleSoft.
An exciting area. I expect we'll be talking more about it for years to come.
Yep.
You've mentioned Oracle Cloud Infrastructure a couple times in some of the services and capabilities. Let's talk about running PeopleSoft on Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. We've got a lot of proof points and stats from customers. The one in my head right now is St. Paul Public School told us that they saw a 75% reduction in their infrastructure costs when they moved their PeopleSoft environments into Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. What's your view on how OCI adoption has gone within the PeopleSoft customers?
Yeah, I mean, it started off slow. We started, I think, what was it, 7 years ago with Cloud Manager. We started investing explicitly for PeopleSoft on OCI about 7 years ago. And the first couple of years was slow because, quite frankly, I think a lot of customers are confused about the cloud and whether going to OCI meant they had to give up control of their PeopleSoft, or they had to get rid of their customizations or all those things. But since then, it's really, I mean, I think as customers have used OCI and seen how, quite frankly, what a great platform it is, how well it handles PeopleSoft, coupled with the heavy investment we're making in Cloud Manager, we've seen the adoption hockey stick. I mean, we have, I think, over 400 customers now that are running on OCI, PeopleSoft on OCI, and we're confident enough in that solution that we think that any customer that is making a decision to either refresh hardware in their data center or look at other clouds is making a really big mistake, because we've been able to do so much automation through PeopleSoft Cloud Manager that the difference between running PeopleSoft on either a different cloud infrastructure or in your own data center and running it on OCI with Cloud Manager is night and day. I mean, there's no comparison to the level of automation and autonomy that you can get in terms of operations management and lifecycle management with PeopleSoft and OCI. So the customer adoption has been great. We've had customers from every region, from every industry, from every size, and very rarely, in fact, I can't remember the last time I've had a customer complain about OCI. All the customers I've talked to find it a very good platform to run on. As with anything with technology, there's going to be issues here and there that you have to resolve, but it has been stable, it has been performant, and I think ultimately it's helped lower costs for our customers across the board. So I don't think we've lost anyone. I don't think anyone's left OCI with PeopleSoft and gone to a different cloud provider or gone back to on-premise. They've all stayed.
Yeah, the metrics and statistics and proof points that I hear are pretty remarkable. You talked about PeopleSoft Cloud Manager. We're coming out shortly with Cloud Manager Release 17. And it's really crucial in, as you mentioned, how PeopleSoft customers are able to run an OCI. Why is it such an important investment strategy for us? And is there anything about our direction with Cloud Manager that's changed over time?
Yeah, I mean, it's changed quite a bit as as OCI has evolved, as we've kind of learned and talked to customers and partners about what's really important. Our kind of the direction that we're taking with Cloud Manager has changed. We started off primarily as a platform that would allow our customers to do self-service provisioning of the new environments. Because we have one of those in our own development team, we provision, hundreds of environments a day that get, provisioned for 6 or 8 hours and then torn down. We wanted to deliver that to our customers on that were on OCI to make it simpler. As it turns out, most customers don't have the need to have hundreds of new environments every day. They have their set of environments, and new environments are, while they do need new environments from time to time, it's not like that big of a value proposition to get a new environment. It's just a nice to have, but it's not a game changer. Similarly with lift and shift from on-premise to OCI, it was good to have that functionality, but they do that once, hopefully. What became apparent was all of the repetitive tasks that our customers have to do to keep their PeopleSoft, PeopleTools, and applications up and running over the years that are require PeopleSoft admins, DBAs, and admins to do, but that are relatively low value in terms to the business because they don't provide any new capabilities. They just keep things going the way they are. And I'm talking about PeopleTools patching, PeopleTools upgrades, apps patching, the data refresh, backup and restore, provisioning new environments is on there. The list goes on of the activities that end up costing a PeopleSoft customer a lot of time and money. Those are activities that just moving on to OCI by itself help a little bit with, but they don't really change that much. You still have to do all those things manually. When we moved on to OCI, it gave us the ability to take accountability for PeopleSoft related tasks now, but the entirety of the tasks, everything from the ground floor of the data center up through the UI. I mean, we can, when you have to do a backup and restore or a refresh to your data from dev from production to development, we can now take responsibility for provisioning the systems, putting the OMs out there, doing the load balancing, associating the storage, setting up the security policies, all that. We can drive that all now from a PeopleSoft perspective down. So instead of saying, build your infrastructure up and then lay the PeopleSoft solution on top of it, we say, tell us what you want to do, and we're going to orchestrate all of it. And so what's really happened is in Cloud Manager in terms of direction is we've moved this from a self-service provisioning tool to a lights out autonomous PeopleSoft management tool focused on, well, I say focused on admins because it's focused on the job that admins do, but it's a tool to help PeopleSoft admins be infinitely more productive than they have been in the past, which means they can spend more of their time doing things that really where their skills drive a lot of value and spend a lot less time doing these things in PeopleSoft that are repetitive, that take a lot of time, but don't add a lot of extra value to the business. And that's really where we've gone. And it's really exciting to see the things that we can do that we never even thought about doing before because we didn't control the infrastructure. So, when our customers ask, is it important? It's the most important thing. And in fact, while we're not going to ever make it mandatory to be on OCI, our design point now is we are optimizing for customers running PeopleSoft and OCI because there's so much more that we can do if we make that assumption than if we don't.
Yeah. Let me just reiterate that last point. I heard you say we're not going to make our customers be on OCI, but it sounds like because the value is so significant that's really leading our investment in PeopleSoft Lifecycle Management.
Yeah, let me give you an example of that. And this, again, some of these are tactical examples, but the update images, we talked about selective adoption and the 50th images. Well, up to this point, what our customers have to do every time we put out a new update image, we've done 50 of them now in FSCM, they have to install that image, somewhere in their data center, or they have to use VirtualBox to stand it up. They need to put in the new target. They need to do whatever, configuration of that image they need to do. They need to get the metadata in there, and then they can use it to start doing patching or feature updates or things like that. With OCI now, we have the ability that our customers can stand up a patching image on OCI, even if the target that they're patching is on premise. Stand up on OCI, and we now have the ability to do, once they configure that, they can walk away from it and never touch it again. And we will keep that up to date always, automatically, with no work, meaning any PRPs come out, we'll patch it in there. When the next PUM image comes out, we automatically detect that. We stand up the next image, we transfer the metadata, we transfer the targets. So they have an always current PUM image with zero work. That's an example of, that's something now that you take away the, I don't know, 3 or 4 hours or a couple hours at least that some admin had to set up the PUM images every time, or there's a latency because you want to go get a new patch, but the new image hasn't been set up. I mean, it is constantly set up. And so when we look at things like that, what I want to now say, okay, we're not going to force you to put your PUM images on OCI, but we may stop supporting some of the models we support now that were intended to be simpler, because we now have something that's far more productive, and we're going to put our investment in optimizing on the thing that gives us a lot more reach than we have with the other methods.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
We've come a long way since
Yeah.
2017.
Yeah.
Coincidentally, one of the other big things that we introduced in 2017 is near and dear to my heart, and that's the PeopleSoft Innovators Program. And so we're in our 8th year. We have more than 200 customer stories published, customers sharing their experiences, what they've learned, value statements out on the PeopleSoft information portal. It's a pretty powerful body of knowledge about the current state of the PeopleSoft solution and the customer community. Why should customers care, and how should they be using the published stories?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that we've tried to do is to accelerate the process of getting new features into the customer's production, right? Because us having a feature that a customer could theoretically use, if they're not using it, it might as well not exist. Part of that process is the things we've talked about around selective adoption, all that. The other part of it is just getting customers comfortable that they don't want to be the first and they want to see what other customers have done. So that's one way that the innovator program can be helpful, is by customers saying, look, I'm interested in this feature. Let me go see who else has already used it, and let me get their feedback, and maybe I'll reach out and contact them, but at least how I know that I'm not the only one. The other part of it is, I think, if this question that we've had to answer for 20 years now, which is PeopleSoft viable? Am I making a mistake running my business on PeopleSoft? Is that a bad decision? Am I the last one? Basically, that's effectively what a lot of, and just because, for those individuals who pay a lot of attention to us, that watch our YouTube channel, that listen to these updates, they know that's not the case. But there's a lot of people out there that are involved in our customers, sometimes our executives, that aren't as engaged and don't know the answer to that question, and they sometimes listen to what our competition tells them, which is PeopleSoft's a dead product. Everyone's moved off of it. The most important thing for those customers to validate that this is, in my opinion, to validate that PeopleSoft is still a viable solution, is not what we're doing, it's what our other customers are doing, right? So if now you see the US Army going live with, 1 million+ soldiers on PeopleSoft on HCM, you feel a little more comfortable that, maybe it's not such a, you're not the last one on the platform, right? And when you see hundreds of these stories, and you see hundreds of these stories with a level that are current and that have a level of specificity about what they're doing, so you can see the different types of technology they're using and new features and what they're doing. In my opinion, that should give people confidence that there's not alone, because as long as there's a large customer community that's investing in PeopleSoft, Oracle is going to continue to invest in PeopleSoft, right? It's as simple as that. So I think that group, for those of you who go to the conferences, particularly the Quest conference, the Blueprint conference, you get that energy of the customer community with moving forward and excited about things. But when you're not there, how do you get that? I think you get that by going on and looking and reading through the customer stories and seeing firsthand what everyone's doing. So it's invaluable, I think, because it gives you a visibility into the other half of the equation. We're giving you a lot of information on the PeopleSoft product team, the Oracle, from an Oracle standpoint, what we're doing. But what customers are doing is just as important. And I started this by saying that 20 years is only possible, not just because we're still supporting it, but because customers are investing. Well, this is the view in customers investing, and it's great to have that visibility. So we really appreciate those customers who've been willing to put their stories up there. We're not asking for anyone to say anything that isn't true. It can be just fact-based. You're not promoting our solution. We're not using it in sales. It's just so that other customers can see what their peers are doing as they make decisions about what they're going to do.
Well, I think that is a great note to end on. Paco, thank you so much for being here to celebrate these really important milestones that we've achieved and sharing your thoughts and perspectives.
Love it. Great. Thanks, Rebekah.
If you're watching this episode, you're a member of the PeopleSoft community. So congratulations on the many milestones that we've achieved together. From our golden 50th update images to more than 10 years of continuous delivery and the fluid user interface, to countless features and investments delivered and those yet to come. This is a shared endeavor that takes all of us, more so than ever before. The next opportunity to connect and talk about the roadmap, specific features, and kick around new ideas will be at the all-virtual Reconnect Dive Deep event in October. We'll see you there.
Good, Sparky.